Ever since I bought this house for $1,000, the number one question I've gotten is how did I do it? Because honestly, these days, you'd be lucky to find a car for $1,000. Let alone an entire house. If you're new here, hi, nice to meet you. My name's Zach, I'm 24, and I live in Alberta, Canada, and I have a renovation series here on my YouTube channel of renovating this house that I bought for $1,000. My renovation videos come out every single Friday, so if you don't want to miss them, consider hitting the subscribe button. It's completely free, and you can always undo it later. But let's get into how exactly I bought an entire house for $1,000. So, not to point out the obvious, but really the only reason I was able to buy a house for $1,000 was because I wasn't looking in a city. I live in a very small town of under 900 people with very few amenities and therefore very low land values. I also understand that not everyone is made out for small town life, and I don't want to be someone who's like, move out of the cities and come back to the country, because not everyone wants to live here. And honestly, living in a small town comes with quite a few bonuses, but also quite a few drawbacks. Now, I just have to preface this by saying just moving to a small town isn't going to be enough. Especially here in Canada, it can seem like no matter where you go, housing is just something unattainable. But I promise you, that is not true. A lot of small towns and rural areas, and I'm not just talking about Canada, I'm sure this applies to the States as well, have many houses that just sit vacant because their residents have moved away to the city and left their houses with unpaid taxes for many years. And after many years of unpaid taxes, the house's ownership usually moves back into the hands of the town. Therefore, the town has to front the tax dollars that have been going unpaid. And then this is where you and I come in. You may be saying to yourself, but Zach, I don't want to move to a small town. There's nothing to do. There's no services. There's no amenities. Well, you kind of got me there, but I promise it's not all bad. Just for a little clarification and without totally outing where I live in eastern Alberta, which is a very rural area. Rural doesn't necessarily mean there's nothing out here. It kind of just means there's not a lot out here. I'll use my town as an example. We're basically a fully serviced town. We have a hospital, a fire department, police department, a school that teaches from baby to adult. Basically all you'd ever need. I may be a little biased here, but I'm honestly so grateful I grew up in a small town. All of my teachers knew me by name. All of our class sizes were small. So I was basically friends with everyone I knew. I'm not sure if this is true for small towns around where you live, but here, when I was a kid, I could play around the streets until dark and my parents never had to worry. So if you're thinking of starting a family or already have a family, a small town is a great option. Hey, don't get ahead of yourself. If you're saying, Zach, all my kids are moved out, my nest is empty, why should I move to a small town? Well, do I have news for you? In a lot of these small towns, seniors are at the top of the pyramid. There's so many events that we throw for seniors, and seniors are kind of the leaders of our communities. And also, if you're into golfing, literally every small town around here has a golf course. And also, there's hospitals right here. Usually no more than a 5-minute drive from anywhere you are in town. So you can rest assured that you'll be taken care of. Now I realize I'm kind of doing exactly what I didn't want to and saying, just move out of the city, come back to a small town, it's great out here. Well, there is one big glaring obvious issue that is the reason why people move away from small towns. And that is the lack of jobs. But if you work from home or you're a senior, I think it's a pretty good option. I guess I should probably finally explain what I meant by this is where you and I come in. So in a lot of these small towns where these houses have gone vacant and then back into the ownership of the town, they're kind of just bleeding taxpayer dollars and the towns just want to get rid of them. And that is where you and I come in. For my house, all I had to do was go into my town office, make an offer on the property, and that was basically it. Now obviously it had to be approved by town council, but in most cases, these small towns are just happy to get rid of the property and have more people moving in. Now if you've been keeping up with my renovation series, which you can watch up here, you'll know that my house is nowhere near a livable state. And I'd say that's true with probably about all of these vacant small town homes. But if you think about it, if you're able to buy an entire house and property for $1,000 to, I don't know, maybe even $20,000, and you're able to put even a little bit of money into it, I think that's a pretty good deal. So what do you say I take you on a little tour of some of the vacant homes in my town, and we can play a fun little game of how much is this house worth. The first house I'm going to show you guys is literally right across the street from where I just was. Now, as you can tell, this, just like my house, is in some dire need of some help. But I'm certain if you put in an offer from anywhere from $5,000 to $20,000, this house could be yours. I should probably preface this by saying I'm just pulling all these numbers out of a hat. I have really no clue. I'm just going based off how much my house was. Next up, we have this old beast. I'm gonna be honest, I'm pretty sure this house is full of black mold and is condemned. So if you're gonna do this and you're gonna look into small town homes, please, please, please make sure it's not condemned before you buy it, because that's gonna hurt. Actually, when I was browsing around at vacant properties in my area, this house right beside it was also owned by the town, but it was just bought by someone. I'm not sure how much, but I'm sure they got a pretty good deal. Now, if you're more of a businessy type person, which I can totally respect, so many of these small towns have vacant commercial buildings that sit abandoned for years. This one, for example, has been abandoned for over 10 years and has just recently been given a cash injection by the town to spruce it back and bring it back to life. And just a little insider information, usually with many of these houses and commercial properties in small towns, the lot is actually worth less with a structure on it than if there isn't a structure on it. I'm gonna be honest, I'm not really sure how that works. Now here you may have a couple questions. One being, Zach, why do you have glasses on? And two being, why have you taken us to an empty lot? Well, the answer to the first question is that I just wanted to put them on. The answer to the second is that just last year, a house stood here. It was a house around about the same size as mine, but the lot is huge. That's a good bang for your buck if you're asking me. Now this house was put on the market for $10,000, but I can guarantee if someone just put a bid in, it would have sold for much less. But in a lot of cases, it's much more affordable for the town to just bulldoze it than to keep having to pay taxes on it. And here we have two more empty lots, but as you can see by the sign beside me, they're privately owned, meaning that they sell for much more than what they're really worth. No offense to whoever owns these. Just from a quick browse, I saw that these lots were each selling for $30,000 each, which is kind of wild, especially given that the previous lot I showed you guys was literally a 1-second walk away from the school. This one does back onto the golf course, which does up its land value, but $30,000 for nothing? Really? I brought you guys and gals to these lots just to show you how much more bang for your buck you get if you just go right through the town instead of privately. But boy, oh boy, am I saving the best for last. Let's go check it out. And now we have this house. Oh wait, this is my house. So obviously I didn't show you every single vacant house in this town because then this video would probably be 2 hours long. But I do hope I was able to give you guys some valuable insight on how exactly I bought this for $1,000. In case somehow you made it this far in the video without paying attention, I'll give you a little recap. Basically, look around on Google Maps or something and find a small town near you that you think you could see yourself living in. Go there, go to their little town office and ask them what properties are owned by the town. Then you yourself could just tour around and then put in an offer. And obviously it's best to lowball them. But a lot of the time these towns are just happy to get the property off their hands and into someone else's. If you found this video helpful, consider subscribing. It's completely free and you can always undo it later. But that's all I have for you today. And if you are new here, I have videos out every single Friday renovating this bad boy into hopefully what will be my dream home. So I guess I'll see you next Friday. Thanks for watching.